The entity of deceit creates a fake interview, but the spirit of the cleaner reveals the truth. Eli Johnson was the ghost in the sleek glass towers of global innovations. She often drifted through the pristine halls, mopping and cleaning, her presence barely acknowledged amidst the bustling executives in their tailored suits. Yet she saw them, saw their struggles, their dreams hidden behind the sparkling facades of their perfect lives. She was more than just a janitor. She was a silent observer, feeling every whispered ambition and silent despair echo through the corridors. Today felt different, charged somehow. Eli sensed it immediately, the rare energy crackling in the air. The executives gathered around a table in the glass-walled conference room, excited about something. As she scuffed her old sneakers across the polished floor, she caught snippets of their chatter. The name Vic Morel, the billionaire CEO, sent a shiver down her spine. He was a legend, a fleeting ghost. Laughter erupted. It was mocking, filled with a heavy dose of arrogance. Eli felt the color drain from her cheeks and a heat rise in her chest. They wanted to humiliate her, to revel in their superiority. The pressure mounted, a lump forming in her throat. But then, something clicked. Eli's trembling hands steadied. "It feels heavy," she said slowly, finding her voice. "You see, every time I clean, I think about what's left behind. The coffee spills, the crumbs from lunch, all those forgotten dreams." Silence settled, thick and heavy, like the dust she swept away each day. She leaned forward, her heart racing. The people in this building have hopes, worries, but they can't speak up because their voices are drowned out by the noise of power suits and money. The laughter morphed into confusion, their confident smiles fading. Eli watched as realization washed over the room. "You think you're the innovators? Maybe it's the cleaners, the workers behind the scenes who are the true heartbeat of this place." Her voice grew stronger, echoing through glass walls, piercing the silence. "We clean the mess, but when do you clean up your act?" In that moment, Eli became a force, the spirit of the invisible cleaner, revealing harsh truths. The executives exchanged uneasy glances, and Vic sat, mouth agape, their world turned upside down. The clip of her words would soon make its rounds online, sparking conversations about empathy and ethics. And suddenly, Vic Morel, shaken yet intrigued, offered Eli a position as Director of Social Impact. Undoubtedly, the shock coursed through her veins, steeped in doubt. Yet, perhaps it was time to be heard, to push through the glass walls. As Eli stepped into this new role, she sensed the tension thickening around her. The executive sneered at change, wary of disrupting their comfortable status quo. Unfazed, she initiated forums, inviting voices that who could she trust in this treacherous game of power? The fate of her journey hung in the balance, its outcome hovering in the shadows. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss out on any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're there, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. As Eli stared down at the anonymous note, her heart raced. The chilled air in her office felt oppressively thick. The details scrawled in hasty handwriting screamed conspiracy. Meet me in the park. But maybe it was the key to unveiling the dark practices hidden within global innovations. She bit her lip, considering her options. Stay in her safe bubble or reach out into the uncertain unknown. The clock ticked loudly, each second grinding into her resolve. When night fell, the moon loomed large. Eli donned her favorite faded hoodie, hoping it would shield her from the raw reality lurking in those shadows. She arrived at the park, her shoes crunching on the gravel path. A chill rattled through her bones. Eli spotted a figure leaning against a tree, cloaked in darkness. As she drew closer, a glimmer of recognition flickered. Jordan, a fellow cleaner she'd seen in passing. His usually bright smile was replaced with a solemn frown. "Eli," he said, his voice shaking, "there are things you need to know about Vic and the company." Tension coiled in her chest. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jordan glanced around, ensuring they were everyone. "It's bigger than you know." His eyes darted back to the path, an unwelcome dread clouding his expression. "And those files you found, they're just the tip of the iceberg." Eli felt the world tilt beneath her. Her head spun. "What files? What are you talking about?" "Your position. Vic didn't just give that to you. He saw a way to control the narrative. You're a pawn in their game." His words hit her like a brick wall, each syllable crashing into her heart like ice. Suddenly, a commotion erupted in the distance, shouting, sirens. A panic surged through the park. Eli's instincts kicked in. "We need to," she urged. But Jordan shook his head. "No, this is important, Eli. I can't hold back anymore." With a trembling hand, he pulled out his phone, revealing explicit details leaked from the company showing embezzlement and exploitation of workers. "Look, this is what they're doing while we clean up their mess." The notification on his phone blared with urgent news headlines. "Billionaire CEO under fire for corruption. Massive layoffs imminent." Eli's stomach dropped. Every word pulled her deeper into a nightmare. But just then, an unsettling presence shattered the night. A black SUV rolled up, headlights piercing through the darkness. Eli recognized the emblem. It belonged to Global Innovations. Panic gripped her heart. Could they be here for her? The doors swung open. Out stepped Vic himself, flanked by two security guards, their faces grim. "Eli," he called, and for a fleeting second, she thought she could see a flicker of fear in his eyes, perhaps even recognition. "I heard you've been discussing matters that don't concern you." Shock flooded her senses, followed by burning anger. Her head swirled with everything Jordan had revealed. "But they do concern me. You're exploiting people." Vic smirked, casting a sidelong glance at Jordan. "Seize him," he ordered. Before Eli could react, the guards lunged for Jordan. Her heart leaped into her throat. "No!" she screamed. But it was too late. They were dragging him away. In that moment, Eli's world shattered. The truth about Global Innovations was unveiling itself like a curtain pulled back too quickly. She watched in horror as they disappeared down the path. "You can't do this," she shouted, desperation clawing at her. Vic stepped closer, a chilling grin spreading across his face. "But we can, and we will." Suddenly, an overwhelming realization surged within her. A mix of fear and power ignited. She understood what she needed to do. She wasn't just a cleaner anymore. She was the ghost in their machine. And now, she had to fight like hell. As the SUV roared away, Eli felt shackles break off her spirit. What would come next? Would she stand alone against the giant? The night swallowed all her answers. Eli stood there, frozen, the night air prickling her skin. Vic's smirk felt like a knife, sharp and cutting. She had just learned that everything she thought was true was now unraveling before her eyes. The tension hung thick like smoke, weighing her down. Jordan was gone. Panic clawed at her throat. "Why are you doing this?" Eli shouted, her voice trembling. "You can't just take him like that." Vic stepped closer, his eyes dark and glinting like steel. "You don't understand just how deep this goes, Eli. Trust me, you're better off not knowing." His words buzzed in her ears. She felt the weight of his threat. "I'm not afraid of you," she yelled, though her heart pounded hard against her chest. "Good," he replied, each word dripping with mockery. "You'll need every ounce of bravery you have." Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed from the path behind them. Eli turned, her heart racing again. Who else was there? Had someone heard the commotion? A figure emerged, a familiar silhouette, stepping into the moonlight. It was Lila, the HR manager Eli had trusted more than anyone else in the company. But her once warm expression faded, replaced by an icy mask. "This isn't what it seems, Eli," she spoke, her voice low but urgent. "You have to leave now." Eli's mind spun. "What do you mean? You were the one who supported me, helped me get the position. Why are you here?" Leela glanced at Vic, then back at Eli with fear in her eyes. "Because you need to know. They're watching you. Everyone is. The fallout of what you're doing, it's going to be catastrophic." "What do you mean?" "I'm trying to make a difference. I'm trying to fight for the workers." Eli felt her emotions swirling like a storm. "That's why it needs to stop," Leela said quickly, stepping closer. "The company, it's not just about profit. It's also about secrets that can't come to light. There are more powerful forces at play than just Vic." Eli felt the ground shift beneath her. "Like what? What do you know?" She couldn't wrap her head around it. But before Leela could respond, the air thickened. It was the unmistakable whir of drones overhead, hovering silently like dark birds. Eli looked up, a surge of panic flaring inside her. "Vic," Leela's voice sharp against the night. "You promised. You said you'd keep it quiet." But Vic's grin widened, a predator enjoying the game. "Oh, Leela, you know promises are just fancy words in our world. You were useful once, but now you're just old news." And in that instant, everything shattered. The drones surged forward, surrounded by blinding lights, illuminating their faces in an almost surreal glow. Eli could feel a collective gasp from the shadows of the park. Then, like a thunderclap, everything went dark. The powerful lights suddenly cut off, plunging them into shadow. Whispers echoed. Confusion rippled through the night. "What's happening?" Eli shouted, fear crashing down around her like a wave. "I'm sorry, Eli." Leela's voice quivered, slipping into the darkness, her presence fading fast. Vic stood eerily calm amidst the chaos. "Now that they've seen us, they'll want answers. But it's not the answers you think." His smile twisted, somehow cruel, yet calm, as if reveling in a secret far more devastating than what Eli ever imagined. An explosion of sound erupted, not far away. Cries, chaos, panic in the night. But Eli's instincts kicked in, her fight-or-flight response igniting. She couldn't do this alone. Not anymore. The air crackled with tension, the shadows shifting. Eli's heart raced as she turned, desperate now for a connection, an ally, a friend who might still be hidden in the darkness. "Jordan!" she screamed, knowing the name echoed theirs. Time was slipping through her fingers, and she needed to act. Was Leela truly an ally, or just another piece in Vic's game? Pushing away her uncertainty like a physical weight, Eli strained to take a step forward. What she would find in the chaos was unclear, but one thing was certain. The world she thought she knew was crumbling, and the battle ahead would be nothing compared to the revelations yet to come. Eli stood there, frozen, the night air prickling her skin. Vic's smirk felt like a knife, sharp and cutting. She had just learned that everything she thought was true was now unraveling before her eyes. The tension hung thick, like smoke, weighing her down. Jordan was gone. Panic clawed at her throat. "Why are you doing this?" Eli shouted, her voice trembling. "You can't just take him like that." Vic stepped closer, his eyes dark and glinting like steel. "You don't understand just how deep this goes, Eli. Trust me, you're better off not knowing." His words buzzed in her ears. Then the drones above buzzed a little louder, their ominous presence hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Eli turned her eyes back to Vic, desperation clawing at her throat. "You think I'll just stand here and let you intimidate me? You're wrong." His chuckle echoed through the darkness, chilling her to the bone. Intimidation is the least of your worries, he began. But then his phone buzzed against his hip. He frowned and checked it, frustration flickering across his face. Not now. Before he could react, the ground beneath them shuddered violently. The park trembled as an explosion thundered in the distance, bright lights consuming the night. Eli stumbled backward, her heart racing. "What was that?" she gasped, looking around for safety. The chaos spread, a collective gasp shared among the shadows. Sirens blared, piercing through the panic. Eli's instincts kicked in. "We need to hide. No time." Vic's voice was sharp. He grabbed Eli by the arm, yanking her toward the dark woods bordering the park. "Come on." But just as she was about to turn away, a figure burst into the clearing. A woman, wild-eyed with fear, as she raced right past them. She stumbled, then turned back, panic twisting her pretty features. "Eli, you have to warn them. It's happening." Eli's stomach dropped. "What? What's happening?" Before the woman could respond, a blinding light erupted overhead, and the drone swooped down, aiming directly at her. "No!" Eli screamed, lunging forward, reaching for the woman. But the light swallowed her, engulfing everything in its glow. Silence descended like a blanket. Eli blinked against the harsh glare, her mind racing. What the hell just happened? Where'd she go? And then it hit her. Those drones weren't just for surveillance. They were armed. Vic leaned close, a twisted fascination lighting his gaze. "Did you see that? They took her. This is bigger than you could have imagined." "No!" she shouted, pulling away. "I won't be part of this." But as she stepped back into the shadows, she heard a sharp voice crack through the air. Eli was Jordan's voice. Her heart leaped as he reappeared, disheveled but alive. "I'm here. We need to move." Before she could embrace him, an explosion of sound erupted from the direction of the drones. A hissing and crackling energy filling the air. Eli shrank back, dread pooling in her stomach. "What are you doing here?" she asked, trying to grasp the shifting reality. "I've been watching, more than you know." Vic isn't the only one pulling strings. His voice dropped to a whisper, so urgent it sent chills down her spine. "It's your dad. He's involved." Eli's heart raced. Her father, the man she had always admired, looked up to, never concerning herself with his dealings. "What are you talking about?" But before he could explain, the world shattered around them. The lights from above pulsed ominously, and an explosion ripped through the park, tossing them to the ground. The commotion escalated, shouting and chaos, spiraling into an unbearable cacophony. Eli's mind reeled as she tried to comprehend it all. As she struggled to her feet, she saw Vic, his face, now devoid of the earlier arrogance, replaced with palpable fear. He was staring at the drones as if they were monstrous beasts ready to strike. "Eli," he shouted, completely unhinged, "get out now, before it's too late." The ground felt like it was falling beneath her. Eli looked between Vic and Jordan, panic and confusion swirling in her mind. What do I do? And suddenly that blinding light surged once more, illuminating everything. And Eli grasped a shocking truth. Vic wasn't the only manipula. Her entire life had been a carefully constructed facade, her past blinkered by ignorance. In that moment, everything changed. The truth clawed at her, raw and painful. "My dad," she whispered, and the world spun faster. What did it mean? What did it all lead to? In the midst of the gathering storm, Eli stood there, caught between shadows and light, aware that the next choices could turn her world upside down again. She had to know who else was tangled in this web of deceit, and how deep did the conspiracy run? Eli stood there, frozen, the night air prickling her skin. Vic's smirk felt like a knife, sharp and cutting. She had just learned that everything she thought was true was now unraveling before her eyes. The tension hung thick like smoke, weighing her down. Jordan was gone. Panic clawed at her throat. "Why are you doing this?" Eli shouted, her voice trembling. "You can't just take him like that. Vic stepped closer, his eyes dark and glinting like steel. You don't understand just how deep this goes, Eli. Trust me, you're better off not knowing. His words buzzed in her ears. Then the drones above buzzed a little louder, their ominous presence hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Eli turned her eyes back to Vic, desperation clawing at her throat. You think I'll just stand here and let you intimidate me? You're wrong. His chuckle echoed through the darkness, chilling her to the bone. Intimidation is the least of your worries, he began, but then his phone buzzed against his hip. He frowned and checked it, frustration flickering across his face. Not now. Before he could react, the ground beneath them shuddered violently. The park trembled as an explosion thundered in the distance, bright lights consuming the night. Eli stumbled backward, her heart racing. What was that? She gasped, looking around for safety. Eli! Jordan's voice sliced through the chaos, and she turned, hope surging as he dashed back toward her, eyes wide with fear. We need to go, now. Where's the woman? She asked, scanning the darkness. But Jordan just shook his head, panic carved deep into his features. There's no time. We have to escape before they come back. He grabbed her hand, tugging her toward the trees. But as they ran, Eli caught Vic's eyes, glinting with something sinister. You can't run from the truth, Eli, he called after them, voice echoing in the dark. It always finds a way to surface. They darted into the cover of the trees, hearts pounding against their chests. Suddenly, another explosion rocked the ground. Eli felt the heat wave against her back, and a cloud of debris flew past. The night lit up as if daylight had exploded. Quick, this way! Jordan pulled her into a narrow path where the branches arched overhead like gnarled fingers. They hurried deeper into the woods, pushing through the underbrush. Eli couldn't shake Vic's words. What truth? What did he mean? I'll explain later, Jordan panted, glancing back over his shoulder. Just keep moving. But then, as they pressed forward, the world shifted again, plunging them into an eerie silence. The sounds of chaos faded into a heavy quiet, the kind that made every breath feel louder than a shout. What's happening? Eli whispered, fear growing in her gut. That's when they stumbled into a small clearing. Moonlight spilled over the grass, illuminating a figure standing in the center, alone and still. Eli squinted. Who is that? Jordan hesitated, but there was no turning back now. They stepped closer, and the figure turned, revealing a face Eli never expected to see. Dad? She breathed, shock gripping her chest. What are you doing here? You need to leave. It's not safe. Her father, usually the calm during any storm, looked panicked. Eli, listen to me. He broke into a run toward her. This is bigger than you know. They've been watching you, and they're not just after me. They want you too. What? Why? The world felt like it narrowing in on her, crumbling into confusion. Before he could answer, the drones cut through the night sky again, their lights sweeping the area like vultures searching for prey. You have to get out of here, he yelled, urgency lacing his tone. But then, like a scene collapsing under pressure, the ground erupting behind him. Shadows loomed, figures emerging from the darkness in their suits, faces grim and intent. Vic, this is your doing, one of them spat. It was the head of security from Global Innovations, a man Eli recognized from the board meetings. The enforcer, a man who never hesitated to crush those who got in the way. There was a pause, a thick silence as realization hit Eli. Everything twisted in her gut. Dad, what's really going on? Are you involved in this? His expression darkened, and for a split second, doubt flickered in his eyes. I didn't want this. It was meant to protect you, he stammered, taking a step back. But they're here for us both. Before she could process his words, the world exploded into noise again, shouting, lights blinding. Suddenly her father staggered. A sharp intake of breath before he crumpled to the ground, blood blooming on his shirt. Dad! Eli screamed, but panic choked her words. She rushed forward, but Jordan pulled her back. "Eli, don't." But it was too late. Everything shattered. The truth came crashing down like a building collapsing on itself. Her father wasn't just a victim. He was locked in a game, one that had always been bigger than her. Eli felt her world contort as she realized the depth of betrayal threaded within the roots of her family. A chilling laugh echoed around them, cold and empty. Vic stepped into view, smirking, surrounded by the men in suits. "Now do you see, Eli? It's far more than just cleaning up messes. It's who controls the narrative." The weight of betrayal sank into her bones. Everything she ever believed twisted into a haze of shock. They weren't just after her father. They were after her. As shouts erupted and figures moved like rushing shadows, Eli stood there, heart racing. Her grip on reality dangled like the branches overhead. What would she do now? Who could she trust? The darkness closed in, swirling with madness. Eli stood there, frozen, the night air prickling her skin. Vic's smirk felt like a knife, sharp and cutting. She had just learned that everything she thought was true was now unraveling before her eyes. The tension hung thick like smoke, weighing her down. Jordan was gone. Panic clawed at her throat. "Why are you doing this?" Eli shouted, her voice trembling. "You can't just take him like that." Vic stepped closer, his eyes dark and glinting like steel. "You don't understand just how deep this goes, Eli. Trust me. You're better off not knowing." His words buzzed in her ears. Then the drones of buzzed a little louder, their ominous presence hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Eli turned her eyes back to Vic, desperation clawing at her throat. "You think I'll just stand here and let you intimidate me? You're wrong." His chuckle echoed through the darkness, chilling her to the bone. "Intimidation is the least of your worries," he began, but then his phone buzzed against his hip. He frowned and checked it, frustration flickering across his face. Not now. Before he could react, the ground beneath them shuddered violently. The park trembled as an explosion thundered in the distance, bright lights consuming the night. Eli stumbled backward, her heart racing. "What was that?" she gasped, looking around for safety. "Eli." Jordan's voice sliced through the chaos, and she turned, hope surging as he dashed back toward her, eyes wide with fear. "We need to go, now." "Where's the woman?" she asked, scanning the darkness. But Jordan just shook his head, panic carved deep into his features. "There's no time. We have to escape before they come back." He grabbed her hand, tugging her toward the trees. But as they ran, Eli caught Vic's eyes, glinting with something sinister. "You can't run from the truth, Eli," he called after them, voice echoing in the dark. "It always finds a way to surface." They darted into the cover of the trees, hearts pounding against their chests. Suddenly, another explosion rocked the ground. Eli felt the heat wave against her back, and a cloud of debris flew past, the night lit up as if daylight had exploded. "Quick, this way!" Jordan pulled her into a narrow path where the branches arched overhead like gnarled fingers. They hurried deeper into the woods, pushing through the underbrush. Eli couldn't shake Vic's words. What truth? What did he mean? "I'll explain later," Jordan panted, glancing back over his shoulder. "Just keep moving." But then, as they pressed forward, the world shifted again, plunging them into an eerie silence. The sounds of chaos faded into a heavy quiet, the kind that made every breath feel louder than a shout. "What's happening?" Eli whispered, fear growing in her gut. That's when they stumbled into a small clearing. Moonlight spilled over the grass, illuminating a figure standing in the center, alone and still. Eli squinted. "Who is that?" Jordan hesitated, but there was no turning back now. They stepped closer, and the figure turned, revealing a face Eli never expected to see. "Dad?" she breathed, shock gripping her chest. "What are you doing here? You need to leave. It's not safe." Her father, usually the calm during any storm, looked panicked. "Eli, listen to me." He broke into a run toward her. "This is bigger than you know. They've been watching you, and they're not just after me. They want you too." "What?" Why? The world felt like it narrowing in on her, crumbling into confusion. Before he could answer, the drones cut through the night sky again, their lights sweeping the area like vultures searching for prey. "You have to get out of here," he yelled, urgency lacing his tone. But then, like a scene collapsing under pressure, the ground erupting behind him, shadows loomed, figures emerging from the darkness in their suits, faces grim and intent. "Vic, this is your doing," one of them spat. It was the head of security from Global Innovations, a man Eli recognized from the board meetings. The enforcer, a man who never hesitated to crush those who got in the way. There was a pause, a fixed silence as realization hit Eli. Everything twisted in her gut. "Dad, what's really going on? Are you involved in this?" His expression darkened, and for a split second, doubt flickered in his eyes. I didn't want this. It was meant to protect you," he stammered, taking a step back. "But they're here for us both." Before she could process his words, the world exploded into noise again, shouting, lights blinding. Suddenly, her father staggered, a sharp intake of breath before he crumpled to the ground, blood blooming on his shirt. "Dad!" Eli screamed, but panic choked her words. She rushed forward, but Jordan pulled her back. "Eli, don't!" But it was too late. Everything shattered. The truth came crashing down like a building collapsing on itself. Her father wasn't just a victim. He was locked in a game, one that had always been bigger than her. Eli felt her world contort as she realized the depth of betrayal threaded within the roots of her family. A chilling laugh echoed around them, cold and empty. Vic stepped into view, smirking, surrounded by the men in suits. "Now do you see, Eli? It's far more than just cleaning up messes. It's who controls the narrative." Eli's pulse raced, a sharp pain stabbing her heart. "What do you mean? Is my dad part of this? Are you saying he—" Her voice trailed off, horror dawning on her. Vic turned, a glint of something dark in his eyes. "Your father has played his part perfectly. He's the mastermind behind this operation. The workers are merely pawns." Stunned silence enveloped Eli. "No, you're lying." "Am I?" Vic taunted, stepping closer. "He has worked against you your whole life, building hand in hand with us. You're just an obstacle now." Laughter bubbled up inside her, sharp and bitter. "You think I'll believe that? My father would never." A sudden clarity washed over her. Her memories, her father in meetings, the way he always seemed to know too much about the company. The sly hints about ambition and success. He used me?" she whispered, disbelief etched into her voice. "Exactly," Vic smirked, satisfaction gleaming in his eyes. "And now it's time to put an end to your little rebellion." As the drone swooped lower, intoxicating light swirling around, Eli felt tears burn her eyes. She wasn't just a worker. She was a pawn in a game far bigger than she ever knew. But even in this moment, despair clashed with a spark of defiance. "No," she shouted. "I refuse to let this be the end." In an instant, the world spun again, a flash. An unexpected figure burst from the shadows, moving with wild ferocity. A woman, cloaked in darkness, jumped forward, colliding with the head of security, throwing him off guard. "Eli, run!" she shouted, and Eli recognized the woman from earlier, the one taken by the drones. The chaos erupted as the moment fractured. A ruckus of desperation and fury ensued, the night exploding into flashes of light and sounds. Eli's mind raced. Who could she trust? And as shadows closed in once more, she gripped onto the truth. We're not done yet. The fight wasn't over. Not now. But as she bolted away, the face of her father flickered back in her memory, caught between betrayal and love. The conflict within her swelled, a mystery yet unsolved. Everything she knew crumbling, questioned. Where do I go now? She thought, the oppressive darkness holding tight to the truth she unearthed. The night was far from over, and Eli was just getting started. Eli stood there, frozen, the night air prickling her skin. Vic's smirk felt like a knife, sharp and cutting. She had just learned that everything she thought was true was now unraveling before her eyes. The tension hung thick like smoke, weighing her down. Jordan was gone. Panic clawed at her throat. "Why are you doing this?" Eli shouted, her voice trembling. "You can't just take him like that." Vic stepped closer, his eyes dark and glinting like steel. "You don't understand just how deep this goes, Eli. Trust me, you're better off not knowing." His words buzzed in her ears. Then the buzzing above intensified, drones sweeping ominously overhead, cutting through the dark like sharp blades. "You think I'll just stand here and let you intimidate me? You're wrong," she yelled back, defiance rising inside her. Vic chuckled, a low, sinister sound. "Intimidation is the least of your worries." His phone buzzed again, and frustration flickered across his face. Not now. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. The park trembled as a loud explosion thundered in the distance. White-hot light flooded the area, almost blinding her. Eli stumbled backward, heart racing. What was that? She searched for safety. "Eli!" Jordan's voice broke through the chaos. He rushed back toward her, eyes wide and frantic. "We need to go, now. Where's the woman?" Eli glanced around, desperate. But Jordan just shook his head, panic etched on his features. "There's no time." His grip was tight as he pulled her toward the trees. But Eli glanced back at Vic, who looked strangely rattled, eyes darting to the sky as chaos erupted around them. "Eli!" he yelled, and the urgency in his tone was sharp. "Get out now, before it's too late." "Why?" she shouted over the noise. "What's happening?" But Vic's attention was fixated on the horizon. "They're coming!" he shouted, voice fraying with fear. Then, out of nowhere, came a flash, blinding like the sun itself. A massive burst of light erupted from the treetops, tearing through the night like a jagged knife. The drones above flickered, their lights flickering and dying, crashing down in a shower of sparks. Eli shielded her eyes, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. The air felt charged, electric with confusion. But in that blinding moment, time slowed. Words tumbled. Truth, deception, danger, freedom. But all Eli felt was a deep ache in her gut. And then it happened. From the shadows, a figure emerged, moving with fierce determination. It was a woman, sprinting straight at Vic. "Get down!" she screamed. Eli recoiled, and before she could process what was happening, the woman tackled Vic to the ground. "You won't take her!" she yelled, and the ferocity in her voice sent chills down Eli's spine. In that instant, the world tilted on its axis. The woman pulled something from her jacket, something shiny, and pressed it to Vic's throat. Eli gasped as she recognized the gleaming knife, the reflection almost mocking the grave scene in front of them. "Who the hell are you?" Eli felt her heartbeat thunder in her ears. "His sister," the woman shouted, her gaze fiery, locking onto Eli's. "I didn't think he put you in danger too." Eli's stomach dropped. "Your sister? Why did you never tell me? I didn't know it was you until now. I thought I lost you." There was desperation in her eyes, a mix of rage and relief. "But we can't stay. We have to move." Suddenly, Vic laughed, a cold, menacing sound that echoed through the trees. "You foolish girl. You think you can stop me? This changes nothing." But the woman's grip tightened on the knife. "You have no idea what you're messing with, Vic. The real game is just beginning." Everything crumbled in that moment. Truths, lies, relationships. Eli stood rooted in fear. Who was she supposed to trust now? The shadows around her thickened. Feelings of betrayal twisted in her heart. But amid the chaos, a deeper question lingered, gripping her mind. What did it even mean if the man she thought she knew was tied to this band of darkness? Was her father part of this too? And as the light from the drones fizzled out, leaving them swathed in an uncomfortable gloom, Eli realized that the fight was far from over. "I won't let him take you," the woman murmured, glancing back at Eli with a fierce intensity. "But we need to hurry. There's no telling how far he'll go, or who else is pulling strings." As they stood on the precipice of an unseen abyss, Eli felt the weight of secrets pressed down on her chest. Each breath tasted of fear. Each heartbeat echoed her uncertainty. How deep did the betrayal run? And who was truly in control? Behind them, the shadows shifted, a threat lurking, waiting. Eli stood there, frozen, a whirlwind of confusion and fear swirling in her chest. The woman who her heart raced. This was supposed to be a night of trying to unveil the truth, not a night strewn with blood and panic. "Why did you come back?" the woman shouted at Vic, eyes blazing. "You think your power can protect you forever? You're a monster." But Vic simply laughed, a dark, chilling sound that echoed in the silence of the forest. "Is that what you think? You have no idea how deep this goes." Eli's instinct screamed at her to run. The weight of the moment pressed down on her shoulders, binding her to the spot. She was standing in a web of lies and treachery, with danger closing in from all sides. "We need to get out of here, both of you," she shouted, that primal fear clawing at her throat. But just as the words left her lips, another explosion shook the ground. This one was closer. A flame surged like thinkers licking the night sky, illuminating everything for a brief moment. The shockwave knocked Eli to her knees. The world spun around as smoke filled the air. "Eli!" Jordan shouted, rushing to help her up. But just as he reached her, the figure of her father emerged from the smoke, blood-soaked and staggering. His expression was haunted. "Eli, you need to listen." "Dad!" she cried, disbelief crashing over her. Her heart swirled with hope and dread. "What happened? Are you okay?" But then, everything shifted again. From behind the trees, other figures appeared. Shadows coalesced into men in dark suits, faces hidden in the gloom, standing stoic and imposing. The air thickened with dread. Eli felt a chill creep down her spine. No one seemed to notice the men. They were like phantoms, waiting for their moment. "Get back," Vic screamed, suddenly fearful. "This isn't your fight." But the moment hung heavy, tension thickening. The woman with the knife held Vic's gaze, but her focus shifted to Eli's father. Everything felt suspended, like a breath held too long. And then, without warning, the men in suits surged forward. A figure stepped ahead of them, rising above the rest, and Eli's heart dropped. "Dad?" she whispered, confusion flooding her mind. But the figure wore more than a mere resemblance to her father. It was the same face, yet the eyes were different, colder. "You've meddled in matters that are beyond your understanding," he declared, voice chillingly calm. "And now you'll pay the price." "No, what are you saying?" Eli could barely form the words. You're not my father." The eerie figure smiled, a twist of malicious delight. "Oh, Eli, I am far more than your naive little mind could grasp. Your father was merely a puppet, a face to hide the truth. I am in control here." Eli felt her world tilt. Her knees threatened to buckle. This man, this creature, he wasn't just teasing. It felt far too real, too dangerous. "What do you want?" she cried out, panic piercing her like an arrow. "What I want is to reclaim what has always belonged to me," he said. "You think you're the one destined to uncover secrets? You're just a casualty in this game." Eli's heart raced, doubt flooding her veins. She glanced at Jordan, then at the woman with the knife. The look on their faces echoed her confusion. A sudden wave of betrayal crashed over her. Had her father truly been just a pawn? Was she even safe here? The figures in the dark tightened their grip, and suddenly everything fell apart. A blinding light surged from the men, engulfing the clearing. Eli shielded her eyes as the world echoed with sounds of chaos and confusion. "Run!" the woman screamed, the urgency in her voice piercing through the noise. But Eli couldn't move. The shattering of her reality felt heavier than the air around her. "What now?" she gasped, heart racing. Yet even as panic gripped her, something deep inside spoke, a whisper of strength. "Get out, Eli. Don't lose what you've started." and as the darkness drew even closer, Eli turned to run, a surge of desperation propelling her forward. The truth that had begun to take shape crumbled around her, like ash in the wind. She sprinted into the shadows, lunging into the unknown, even as the echoes of everything she thought she knew haunted her every step. What awaited her out there? The danger lingered like a predator, always one step behind, and the deeper she delved, the more she realized there was no going back. Eli bolted, heart racing as she dashed through the trees, leaving chaos behind. Each step felt heavier, the dark shadows chasing her. Jordan's voice echoed in her mind, a whisper urging her to run faster. But where? Every direction felt wrong. Every breath was a struggle against the weight of fear pressing down on her chest. Suddenly, she stumbled into a clearing, the moon casting an eerie glow. There was no time to think. Just ahead, the woman with the knife pointed it at Vic, and Eli froze. Tension crackled in the air. "Release her. This is your last chance," the woman shouted, voice fierce. Vic's face twisted in a mix of anger and amusement. "You think a knife can save you? You've stepped into a game far too big for you," he taunted, inching closer to Eli. The woman grit her teeth, hands shaking. "I will not let you take her," she yelled, eyes shining with determination. "Your reign is over, Vic." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind them. Eli spun around. A massive figure burst through the trees, charging right at them. Everything happened in a blink. The figure lunged, arms flailing, and collided with the woman. The knife flew from her hand, skidding across the ground. A gasp escaped Eli's lips as they both tumbled to the ground. Eli's heart pounded like a loud drum, panic clawing at her throat. What the hell? But as she looked closer, everything shifted. The large figure was no stranger. It was Jordan. "I'm so sorry. I just wanted to protect you." "What are you doing?" Eli shouted, disbelief surging through her. "I didn't mean to," Jordan stammered, scrambling back to his feet. His cheeks were flushed, panic igniting his eyes. But it wasn't just Jordan's actions that stole the breath from her lungs. Just then, something clicked. "Wait, why are you here?" Eli's voice wavered, confusion twisting like a knife in her gut. "You said we had to escape." His eyes darted between the woman and Vic. "I didn't think it would come to this. Before he could finish, the woman shuddered. Pain etched across her face as she pushed herself up. "Jordan, you fool! You've betrayed us!" A cold realization crashed over Eli. Betrayed? By who? "No. Listen, Eli, I didn't know." Jordan's voice cracked. "I swear, I was following orders." "Orders?" A chill gripped her. "What orders?" The woman took a shuddering breath, glaring at Jordan. "From Vic. You're part of this, aren't you? You led her here. You used her." "No," Jordan shouted, desperation coursing through his words. "I wasn't—" But before he could plead his case, Vic broke in, his voice smooth and mocking. "Oh, this is too rich. A web of lies, tangled beyond repair. Jordan, your role wasn't just to guide her. You were to keep an eye on her." He paused, grinning. "And it seems you've done a splendid job bringing her right to me." Eli's heart sank. "What?" Her disbelief shattered against the walls of betrayal. You set me up?" "I didn't know they'd find out," Jordan protested, trembling. "Eli, I cared for you. I thought I could help." But the words felt empty. Eli's world was falling apart. She took a step back, realization crashing down on her. "You've been working with him all along?" "Eli, you have to believe me." Jordan's voice cracked, guilt drowning him in a sea of remorse. "I was ordered to watch you and report everything. I swore I wouldn't let anything happen to you. You were supposed to be my friend," she shouted, heartbreak twisting in knots inside her. The ground shook with the arrival of more shadows from the trees. The figures emerged, men in dark suits, surrounding them. Eli felt trapped, panic clawing at her throat. In a moment of raw desperation, she screamed out, "What do you want from me?" "Survival," Vic said, stepping forward, the smirk back on his face. "And now you'll see that you can't escape your fate. You're tangled in our game, Eli. And when it all unravels, you'll find you were never truly in control." The weight of betrayal loomed heavy over Eli. Her heart raced as the truth began to suffocate her spirit. Everything had changed. Every relationship had been twisted into something vile. She took a deep breath, fighting against the tide of despair. This was far from over. As more figures approached, the dark night closed in, wrapping around them like a suffocating shroud. The lines were drawn, the battle had begun. But at what price? Would Eli find a way through this darkness, or had she already lost everything? The echoes of the past tugged at her, the answers just beyond her grasp. Eli's heart raced as chaos erupted around her. Shadows surged forward, men in suits closing in, eyes cold and determined. Jordan stood next to her, panic written all over his face. "Eli, we have to do something." She took a deep breath, her mind racing. Betrayal twisted her gut, but she had to think. "I'm not going down without a fight," she shouted, her voice firm. "We all deserve better than this." The figure claiming to be her father smirked, and Eli felt rage boil inside her. "You don't know what you're dealing with, Eli. You think you can stop me?" "No," Eli retorted, stepping forward. "I think it's time I take back the control you've stolen." With that, she turned to the woman with the knife, who leveled her gaze at Eli. "We can end this together. You just have to trust me." Eli nodded, a surge of hope igniting within her. "Let's do it." In the chaos of the moment, she lunged for Jordan, grabbing his arm. "You can help or get out of the way. Your choice." As the tension snapped like a tight wire, the woman rushed in, circling around to flank Vic. He looked rattled now, his smug facade beginning to crack. "Stay back," he yelled, fingers twitching towards something hidden in his coat. But it didn't matter. Eli sensed the weakness, the shift in power. The moment was theirs. "Now," Eli shouted, and the three of them lunged forward, the attack fueled by anger and desperation. The air filled with noise, the clash of bodies, and the shouts of men behind them. She could feel every ounce of tension crackling in the atmosphere. A loud bang resounded as the guards tried to jump into the fray, but they stumbled as the knife glinted, reflecting moonlight. Jordan shoved one aside, adrenaline heightening his actions. Eli caught the edge of his expression, a spark of fear clashing with a flicker of determination. Together, as they pressed forward, the world became a blur of movement. Vic's men hesitated, eyes darting. They didn't expect this from Eli, especially not from the cleaners standing against the giants. But just when it felt like they'd gained the upper hand, Eli felt a cold breath of Drea. Another figure emerged, one she didn't expect. It was Leela, the HR manager. "What are you doing?" Eli cried out. "I'm here to end this," Leela said, breathlessly. "I won't let them destroy everything we've fought for. We can stop this." The sound of sirens blared in the distance, drawing closer. Eli felt a flicker of hope. "Then let's finish it together. No more hiding." As confusion spread among Vic's men, the sirens cut through the night, a beacon of change. Eli's heart hammered in her chest. This was it. This was their chance. Leela charged forward alongside Eli and the woman with the knife. The energy shifted, powerful and liberating. A battle cry rose from Eli's lips, pushing them all forward. They were standing, fighting against the dark. Suddenly, Vic stumbled back, the reality of his situation sinking in. Fear darted across his face as he attempted to escape the encroaching threat. "You're making a mistake." "No, Vic," Eli shouted. "This ends now." And then silence shattered into action. The guards faltered, realizing they had underestimated Eli and the team. A glimmer of light came as officers flooded in, empowered by truth and ready to confront the darkness. As they handcuffed Vic and his men, a sense of relief washed over Eli. She exchanged glances with Jordan, Lila, and the woman, each of them breathing in the moment like a gust of fresh air. The battle wasn't just about them. It was a revolution against silence. But a bittersweet tension lingered. Eli looked at the shadows gathering beyond the trees. What would happen next? Could they trust the world outside? Together, right? Jordan whispered, hope mingling with uncertainty. Always, Eli replied, looking toward the horizon as dawn broke, illuminating what lay ahead. But even as the sun peeked through, questions floated in Eli's mind. What would the next battle be? How deep did the roots of deception run? And could they truly take back control? She tightened her grip on the knife, prepared for whatever came next, knowing they had just cracked open a door to a much larger fight. And now, dear viewers, here's the moment. If you want to be part of the journey as we explore the truths yet to be uncovered, you must subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't wait one more second. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Every click helps. And I want to hear from you. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know about this explosive conclusion. Only true fans understand the